there folks, welcome to a new series on the channel. This is my Liverpool complete playthrough series. This series is going to be available to you every single day, every single morning around 11 AM, so that's UK time, obviously different time zones and whatnot, but this is the series you can expect. It's going to be, as mentioned, the complete playthrough. We're going to play through from beginning to end of this first season with Liverpool on Football Manager 2017 and see how we get on with the team. It's going to be very different, well not very different, but slightly different to series I've done before. There's not going to be lots of sort of edity jump cuts. It's going to be, as mentioned, it's going to be a complete playthrough. A lot of people have requested this for a long time to see how I do things away from the camera, but do it on camera. So this is what this series is going to be. There will be the occasional cut, obviously, but by and large, you're going to see 95% of everything that gets done in this save. So the first thing we're going to do is choose our managerial style. We could have gone with tracksuit manager or tactical manager, but what we're actually going to do, Continental Pro license, which is suggested based upon the division, and I'm going to go for the professional footballer at national level. I think that's probably about right. In terms of style and focus, of course, the default one is what people tend to go with. We're actually going to change this up. We're going to go for motivator. I've always considered myself a little bit of a motivator, so this is what we're going to go with. And as we carry on and start playing, and here we go then. Benji takes Liverpool hot seat. Dr. Benji as the club's new manager. It's funny, I've not done, well, at least since the sort of, I did it during the beta. I had a little playthrough of Liverpool because it's obviously the team I know best. For those that aren't aware, I'm a Liverpool fan. If you take a look behind me, scarf, that's been there a while. So let's see how we get on then. It's going to be interesting. Liverpool have got a very interesting squad this year, and aside from Chelsea, I think are one of the more interesting sides to manage in the Premier League. I think other teams you could probably say, probably Leicester are up there, Hull City with the way that their team starts at the beginning of the database. Also worth mentioning, this is on the winter update. This is on the first, sort of as the game came out, release. This is on the winter update, so some transfers will have happened, which makes it a little bit more interesting, a little bit more current. So that's what we're going to do. Now, of course, the philosophies at Liverpool are to play possession football, play attacking football, sign young players for the first team, develop players using the club's youth system. This is interesting because we're only doing a one-season save. Some of these are going to be more difficult to implement than others, but possession football and attacking football are two things we can certainly look to try and develop. Shall we attend the meeting? We should probably attend the meeting, right? Thomas Werner. Hi, Doctor. Hi, Thomas Werner. It's sort of telling me welcome to Liverpool, about the fact my assistant's here if I need him, and I've got the full backing of the board, which is nice to see. Liverpool, obviously a club with a lot of history. Banging on about it before we even begin. He's right there. They've got a lot of history. That sounds like a great idea. I'd love to learn more about the club. No, it's okay. I'm already familiar with the club's history. I researched it before accepting the job. I've got a scarf, for God's sake. What more do I need? I have some changes I would like the board to consider. Now, do you know what? I'm going to stick with what they suggest. I think that's probably quite a good idea. It's traditional to hold a press conference. Of course, yes, we'll do that. And, okay, thanks for the introduction. Don't worry about setting up the meeto with Buvak. I'll speak to my staff when I need to. Generally speaking, now, of course, I've said this is a complete playthrough. This is how I play the game. I would never usually go for my assistant chat, especially if I know about the players, I know about the club, I know what to look for. So it's not an area that I will go and sort of investigate early on. I kind of know enough at this stage with what to do with the players I've got, with training, with tactics, so I don't need his help in that regard. Interesting though, strengths of the team. Weaknesses are probably the area I'd look at most though. There's currently a leadership void in the squad. I'd probably agree with that, so maybe that's an area we can bring someone in. I'm not sure what the transfer budget is actually, we'll look at that in a minute. This isn't the best squad in terms of jumping, which just makes me laugh out loud really. I didn't laugh out loud, I lied. The players tend to have an impressive first touch, which reinforces their technical ability. Jordan Henderson is one of 9 players who can feature as a central midfielder, showing good depth. Interesting. Lallana's very versatile. We've got some young players coming through as well. Quite a bit of wage budget left to spend. In fact, let's take a look then. Let's waste no time. We've got £60 million to spend. Wow, okay. I've started in the July, sort of the late July, so we've only got August to play with, really. Okay, interesting. Right, well, there's lots of players available here. Obviously, Liverpool not a Champions League club, so that does make things a little bit more difficult. Right then, so if we look at the squad to begin with, I've got to try and decide what we're going to do with the team. Injuries to Loris Karius at the start of the game, broken hand, so he probably won't start things off. We've got one more friendly to play against Milan. We may even play that today or tomorrow. Probably tomorrow, actually. We'll do that. We'll play that friendly against Milan. So far, pre-season's been really, really good. Again, I know I've said this is a complete playthrough, and you might go, you've missed all the friendlies. You wouldn't have been that bothered about the friendlies anyway, but I do want to show all the Premier League games, all the League Cup games throughout the whole thing for those that are interested. Now, other injuries, Joe Gomez, youngster, 19 years of age. A lot of potential about Joe Gomez. Determination really is lacking, though. That might be something early on. We can't, because he's injured, we can't get him shooted either. And he's out for a while too. 3 months with Achilles tendonitis, which is a bit annoying. Lucas Leiva also out injured, 7 days to 3 weeks. We've got Joel Matip, he's only out for a little while, so that's not too bad. And Gruic, who's out for 11 days with a concussion. Of course, these injuries are updated, I now realise, to players like Jordan Henderson, who at the start of the season weren't fully fit, now are fully fit, which is perfect. So in terms of tactics and a system to implement, what shall we do? Now, of course, we can try and compare this to what Liverpool do in real life in terms of instructions and the way they play players, the way sort of Mane plays on the right-hand side but floats inside. We've got Coutinho, Firmino and Lallana. It's quite difficult to get the perfect pressing game on Football Manager, but that is the sort of thing I would quite like to do. The question marks for me lie with what we do with players like James Milner, who obviously plays at left-back for Liverpool in real life. He's kind of playing, he's not really meant to be there, is he? It's a matter of circumstance and the fact we didn't really sign one. Interestingly, on the game now, Milner is not a natural at left-back, but is accomplished there. So we may well play him there. He's not bad there. Of course he's not going to be bad there. He's a very well-rounded player. It's an interesting one, though. The other question mark for me is what we do with the strikers. We've got a player like Daniel Sturridge, who, of course, Jurgen Klopp isn't really utilising at Liverpool this season. Is he the player we use? Now, as much as this is sort of my complete playthrough, I do want to hear feedback from you. I want to know what you might suggest. Those that have done Liverpool saves, those that are interested in how this save progresses. I always want to know what you guys think. So in the comment section, leave your thoughts down below and we'll crack on. Right, I think we're going to try and pick a team that I think is the perfect team to start the game with in terms of positions and all sorts. So we're going to kick things off. We'll do it from the top, actually. So Mignolet will play in goal. Loris Karius, I'll play it similar to Klopp, actually. The keeper in form will be the keeper that plays. So we'll actually do that. Klein at right back. There's no other real options there. That might be a bit concerning in regards to depth, although we do have Trent Alexander-Arnold, who is a player coming through. Centre-backs for now, we're going to have to be Lovren and Klavan. Of course, that injury to Joel Matip. By the time we come around, by the time we come around to that friendly against Milan, he actually might be able to feature. And then at left-back, this is the real question mark. Is this a place that we strengthen? Is centre-back a place that we strengthen to get a real proper partner to go along with Joel Matip? I do think it's a class above. I think for now, I'm going to trust Alberto Moreno. Not something that managers have done progressively at Liverpool, but yeah, we're actually going to change both him and Klein to wing backs on support. I think maybe complete wing backs. Maybe we'll do complete wing backs on support. We'll change them both up to that, and that does give us a little bit of a conundrum in the centre on what sort of style we want to play. Now, before I started the save, I had an idea in mind, and I'm going to have to sneeze, so I'm going to have to cut that out. If you want me to leave the sneezes in the future, I can do, but for now, we'll cut them out. So the central midfield pairing is always quite interesting, but what I might be tempted to do, I'm thinking about something similar to this, because it's not that dissimilar to what Liverpool play. Alternatively, this is a system I have played with the Liverpool team before. If you play something like this, and we play two sort of advanced playmakers, maybe a couple of shadow strikers, or an advanced playmaker next to a shadow striker, to try and get the best out of our attacking talent. This, of course, means we're playing a strikerless formation. Daniel Sturridge is at the club. Is that the kind of player then, rather than trying to fix a formation or a squad or a system to fit him? Is this the kind of player with the value that he's got? We try and move on. I think personally that it is, and I think offering him out for the 35 million, to get 35 million for him, would be bloody impressive. So we'll offer him out for 35. And that gives us a conundrum with this midfield options. We've got a lot of good central midfielders, as mentioned before, a lot of depth in there. Henderson's your captain. I feel like you've got to stick Henderson in there, and we'll actually change him to a box-to-box midfielder. The position I think he's most natural in. He plays his best football in, so we're going to stick him in there. Next to him, I think we'll go with... this is tricky. We've got a few options. I think Emre Can for now. If we can start to get the best out of Emre Can, that could be the player that alongside Henderson could perform quite a nice partnership, a really fun partnership. It might come to a point where we play Emre Can slightly behind Jordan Henderson and let Henderson support the attack with the hopefully a fluid front four. This is interesting now. This becomes curious. I think Lallana gets played as the advanced playmaker, and then next to him will pop in Roberto Firmino in a shadow striker role, slightly behind the strikers. Now, Coutinho on the left is not something I really like, but then you've got Mane on the right, which is sort of an obvious choice. Coutinho on the left, it's tricky. Would you rather play Coutinho in the Lallana position? I think if you compare the two, you'd probably say Coutinho slightly better than Adam Lallana. Although very, very close, you can see from that graph, Coutinho, the blue line, slightly quicker, slightly better vision. Very similar players, but Coutinho slightly has the edge. So does that mean he's more capable of playing out on the left? as a winger? Should he be an inside forward perhaps, or even an advanced playmaker, but then you have sort of two of those next to each other? In fact, here's what we'll do to begin with. We'll change Firmino to the left-sided shadow striker, Lallana to advanced playmaker, and then we'll have another advanced playmaker on that left-hand side. We're not playmaking in the middle. We've got a defensive midfielder and a box-to-box midfielder with Mane on that right side. I think with Mane, we make him an attacking winger, or an inside forward even on attack, and that could be a real penetrative point of attack. If we look at the instructions, I think if we just look to exploit that right flank, we give the option for Coutinho to float in and around the area, in and around the opposition area. Lallana has the same freedom. We're looking for Firmino to be the real outlet in terms of central attack, and then Mane on that right hand side could be key. Looking for the overlap, I think, is really going to be important, especially on that left side. I wish, actually, on Football Manager, you could just do it on one side. If I could just look for the overlap on one particular side, that'd be perfect. I think you can kind of do it with the attacking roles within a player position, but yeah, for now, we'll look for the overlap on both sides, although I wish I could do it on just one. Passing directness is always one I like to think about. I think for now we'll keep it mixed. We will look to retain possession. With the amount of sort of creative midfielders on the pitch, it'd be wise for us to keep the ball. Without the ball, we might be a little bit vulnerable, so it's something to work on. I think with the width that we've already got, we should try and play fairly wide. Trying to play narrow probably won't work. So for now, a starting 11 that looks like this I think is not too bad. Matip will probably come in for Klavan, and we'll move Lovren across. And actually, for that first game, that might be something we'll do. Do you know what? We'll leave it for now. We'll see where we stand for the Milan game coming next episode. But I think as a starting lineup, as a starting 11, that's not too bad. Instructions can be changed and altered the more we go through. Currently we're on standard flexible. That'll probably be changed to either maybe counter-attack, maybe control. Unsure on that one yet. And so far, so good. I'm actually quite pleased with the beginnings we've got here. Right, let's take a look at a few other things, though. Let's go through the rest of the squad. Players that maybe we can bring through. Of course, the board said if you can bring through young players, try and do that. Trent Alexander-Arnold is probably one of the key ones. And in fact, what we'll do, because Nathaniel Klein is our only real right-back option, we'll actually promote Alexander-Arnold to the first team. He can be our second choice. He can play in the cup games. I think that's what's meant for him this season. Another player that I quite like the look of is youngster Harry Wilson. He's probably a couple of years away from being a first-choice player in the Liverpool team, if he's ever even going to reach those heights. He's only sort of rated at a 3.5-star current player, potential ability. So he might be an option long-term, but I'm not too sure. I think we'll leave him here for now. We'll see if he progresses and does well. Conor Randall is sort of the other right-back option, but we'll go with Trent Alexander-Arnold for now, who's slightly higher rated. Jaria, the central midfielder, again, a player with a little bit of potential about him, but he's out with injury at the moment, which is a bit of a nuisance. And in the under-18s, the only real player you can bring through is a player like Ben Woodburn. I think fans who watch the Premier League quite often or are aware of Liverpool know that he's the kid that at Liverpool they're kind of expecting to be one of the next superstars, and with this sort of this ability at 16 years of age, you can kind of see why, right? So he's a player that we might try and get involved in the first team, especially in those cup games. I'm going to try and play this as I would if I were an actual manager, and it's so if at this point in the series you probably want to watch it, right? So we'll carry on, and I'll say this, that with my road trip videos or with my series that I do 5 p.m. every single day of the week, they're sort of the polished for me, it's like the best viewing experience. But for those that like to see sort of a little bit more in-depth idea on things, and maybe if you just want to hear my thoughts on Liverpool sometimes, then this is the kind of series for you. This is where we're going to go a little bit more behind the curtain and see what we can find. Already, we've been suggested players to bring in. Interesting, they go for a left-back, a left-sided midfielder, and a defensive midfielder, which is all quite interesting. We've already offered Daniel Sturridge out, players that are wanted, Coutinho and Ray Shan. Is there anyone else? I'm thinking at this stage, is there anyone else we can move on? I think Lucas is probably the only obvious one. Another player that is wanted. There's no one else really that makes sense. I guess another little thing I've not really mentioned so far, which I will talk about now, is that Divock Origi and Danny Ings, both strikers, not natural in roles behind the strikers. What do we do with these two? Divock Origi's got a lot of potential about him, and Danny Ings is a solid central solid centre forward that can get goals. And both players, I'm not going to say at this stage they're surplus to requirements, because I think that's probably unfair, but they're players that are going to struggle to get into this team as of right now. How it's set out, the way we're trying to structure it, it's going to be difficult. Financially, we're in a really good spot, though. 140 million overall balance and a £60 million transfer budget. I think in the next couple of episodes, we will make some signings. I'll leave it for now, but we'll have a little look around next time, and we'll go through some transfer negotiations, maybe alongside the Milan episode. This really was the first introduction episode to the save, so if this is the sort of thing you have enjoyed, do drop a like on it, or any support you can show to it would be fantastic. And yeah, that sort of brings us to the end of this first episode. I'll see you again tomorrow at around 11 p.m, or whenever you decide to watch these for another episode. So with love, with care, from me to Benji. Until next time, from the me and the Liverpool save, we'll see you again very soon. Goodbye.